We now have 25 people online, and the quorum for this meeting is the bylaws state 30% of the membership. There are 63 member properties, and 30% of that is 19, rounded up, 19 members. So we have more than 30% in attendance right now. So my name's John Fouquet. I'm president of the association. I'd like to welcome everyone. And I'm sure it's a common hope across our membership that we get away from the COVID problems we've had for over a year, and that we all have a fabulous summer on Kawagama Lake and an easy time getting to our cottages because of the great shape that the White Trout Road is kept in through the association and our contractors. So welcome everyone. This is a formal meeting now underway. And the first thing I'd like to do is ask for approval of the minutes of the 2020 meeting. And to do that, I'm going to launch a poll. So you should see on your screen, do you approve of the draft minutes as distributed of the 2020 WTRA annual general meeting? And you can click yes, no, or abstain.
I clicked.
Yeah.
Okay. I see 15 yeses so far, no nos, 1 abstention.
Corb's on.
All right, then I can declare as chair of the meeting that the minutes from last year are approved. 19 in favor, 1 abstention. All right, so I will end this polling and carry on. Sorry, this is a bit new to me. Okay, the next item in the agenda is the financial report and approval. So I'll turn things over to Jackie Hilchuk to bring you up to date on the financial state of the White Trout Road Association. Jackie.
Hi. Okay, so we came into January the 1st, 2021 with a surplus in the account of $2,579. I'm just going from memory on that because I can't pull that up on a screenshot. Ryan can pull that up maybe and share a screen to show you the financial statements from 2020, the end year statement. So far to date.
Is this the one you like?
Yeah, just to show people where we were at the end of 2020. So this is year ending December the 31st, 2020. So last year we collected 12,904. We had membership fees as for the Federation of Canadian of Cottages Association. That's $345.50. That has gone up this year, which I just paid it on Friday, $373. Our repairs and maintenance was for the Bacher construction. It was $8,232. And we had miscellaneous subcontractor, which is Locke, for the cutting down trees, like tree maintenance along the road. That was $508.50. So total cost of goods for 2020 was $9,086.05. So we had a gross profit of $3,818. Then we had our bank charges, $50. Insurance was $11.89. I just paid that on Friday as well. Has gone up to $1236.60. So we ended up with a positive bank balance going into 2021 with $2,579.71. Now, if you could bring up the balance sheet for 2021, please. Okay, so this was as of May the 18th. And so I collected to that date, 13,034. I have in outstanding accounts receivables, 4,396. there's about $1,000 of that I will never be able to collect, which probably have to be written off. So altogether, we have total current assets of 17,430.80. And then if you go to the P&L, profit and loss, please.
Okay, hang on.
I think you have to end this and then redo it again, right?
Yeah, hang on one sec. Bear with me. Is that not right? Oh, that's the wrong one, sorry.
Yeah, that's 2020.
Goodness. Okay, share. This one, Jackie?
I don't see it yet. Yes, that's it. So with that 11,966.80, you don't see it posted there, but I have paid the insurance, liability insurance, which was $1,236.60, and the $373 in membership fees. So we have right now about $11,425 in the bank, and we owe Len Locke, the tree cutter, $3,000. He hasn't invoiced yet. So we have an operating budget going forward then about $8,425.12 for Baca Construction for the maintenance. And as for the outstanding accounts receivables, I had an issue this year with Scotiabank. Unfortunately, one member had sent me an e-transfer to pay the fee, and I received the transfer. When I went to deposit it, it said that the transfer had already been deposited when it hadn't. And so she had to go back to the bank and deal with them. And ultimately what happened was she ended up mailing me a check. The next thing that happened was last week, I had more transfers coming in. And when I went to deposit, it just would not accept my answer to this. Even though I had the correct answer, it wouldn't accept it. So I'm having some issues with them. And maybe what I'm going to have to do is go to auto deposit. I just have to confirm with the bank that when that happens, I will actually have the name of the person depositing with the auto deposit so I can track back to the proper member's account. It's been, I think going forward though, next year, if I have to keep using security question, I'm just going to ask the question, what is your invoice number? And it'll just be the number like 112, 113, whatever the case may be, to just tighten up the security of the question. Because I think maybe my question was just too broad of a question. What is the name of your country? So next year, if the auto deposit is going to work out for me, I will change to what is your invoice number next year. So there's that. And then I do have approximately $1,000 in accounts receivable that I'll never be able to collect it. There's roughly $775 of that is just opening entries from when I took the books on in 2016. So I got the outstanding accounts receivables from Karina and posted them in the books, but I've never been able to collect them. And then unfortunately, I have one member that just refuses to pay. So that's where I'm at with the accounts receivable. So we are good though to be able to collect at least another $3,400 roughly. So we will be able to see an increase of that in our 8,425 operating balance for this year. So roughly 11,400 we will have to after we pay the Len Locke. And after I get those transferred. that would be a good number for our operating budget and our savings for the maintenance this summer.
Thank you, Jackie. Are there questions for Jackie or comments on the financial reporting?
Yes, it's Peter here, Peter Chan.
Go ahead, Peter.
I'd like to know the remaining $3,000. Are these last year's fees that are still outstanding, or are these an accumulation of several years?
Yeah, these are accounts receivable. Some of them are late.
Can you give Peter more detail, Jackie?
Well, okay, for the 91 and over, for example, I've got the carry forward to 2017 when I took the books over. That's $625.37. Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 accounts that are late paying. One particular member is over 90 years old and hasn't been up in quite some time. So I'm in this particular member is I don't know if there will see payment for that account. Just because the member is very elderly and I'm not sure what's going on there. So
Is that,
I don't,
it must be Mrs. Shadwick, yes, okay.
yes, Miss Shadwick. So, the other ones, you know, I expect that I will be able to collect on those. I've got one particular member that's protesting the journal entry carry forward from Karina's books to mine, claiming that it was paid and I have no way of validating one way or another, and was a little upset that I didn't immediately give a credit for it when I didn't feel at the time that I, you know, I felt like I needed to discuss that with the board. So I didn't issue a credit immediately, but when the matter came up again this year, what I did was I just went ahead and gave the credit to the member, and then the member just got very annoyed. And so I don't know if I'll ever be able to collect on that either. So yeah, the others I think look okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm wondering if Peter or anyone has any suggestions, Peter, particularly with your professional accounting background, on how we should resolve the outstanding receivables.
Is that a question for me or?
Yes, it is, Peter. Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, I guess a personal approach, and I think Jack has already done that to, you know, convince them to pay up since they're using the road. I don't know what are the legal actions we can take except to take them to court, and I don't know if we ever done that before.
All right, well, I guess we'll get no resolution. My main worry is that road associations across the province, probably across the continent in the past, have gone have ended because certain individuals have refused payment, and then that word gets around that so-and-so didn't pay and others agree not to pay, and then the whole road association collapses. So there's a certain danger in just simply writing it off. I mean, they're not large amounts of money, but I'm wondering what the membership in general feels about, I mean, we can't put liens on properties. We don't really have much, we have no power at all other than moral suasion. So does anyone, if anyone would like to comment, please speak up.
So John, this is Jamie. I thought I understood though that it was more of a, in the handover of the books, that somebody thinks that they paid, but we don't think that they paid, right? Is it more of a dispute than somebody not wanting to pay road fees?
Well, that's accurate, Jamie. You heard that correctly, but there is one individual who's supposedly on a point of principle refusing to pay. And that makes a difficult situation, because if that person, for instance, starts going around the community saying, this is the reason I refuse to pay, and others say, oh yeah, I get that. Well, I'm not going to pay my fees next year. I'm saying not White Trout Road Association. We've had a fantastically supportive membership over the years, but I'm saying the history beyond White Trout Road Association has been pretty nasty, and a lot of road associations have collapsed because of that sort of behavior. Anyway, it's maybe a bit philosophical, and we're a large group here this morning.
Can I just answer that question as well, John, please?
Sure, of course.
I just want to say that I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, we should mute when we're not speaking.
Yeah, please, everyone who's not actively speaking, use the mute button at the lower left of your screen.
I just would like to say that the journal entries that I carried forward from Karina into my books, that is part of a reconciled financial statement, which is the basis of our tax returns, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not just money that, I'm in dispute or not. I have to carry that forward because that comes from the reconciled financial balance and sheet and profit and loss from Karina's books to mine. So so in other words, that's how I was able to set up my books based on her reconciliations.
Okay, that's understood. Yeah, thanks. Okay, well, the executive can deal with this further after the conclusion of the meeting. Given that, I think it's time. Are there any other questions or issues relating to the finances of the association?
Yes, is there no way you can consult with the White Trout, like legal, like lawyers? You must have a firm that represents us.
You mean consult with lawyers to deal with the individual?
With regards to collection of the outstanding debts or, the non-compliant member?
Well, we've done that in the past, and I was sort of suggesting it a few minutes ago in my remarks that we have no legal ability other than small claims court or something like that. And for a couple $100 for the time and effort to go to small claims court remotely is to do. So lawyers will just say that's all you can do. As I say, we can't place a lien on property. We have no muscle. It's really just moral suasion. And maybe that's what you're asking or suggesting the executive should do.
Okay, just.
Okay.
I figured you would have done that, but just throwing it out there.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the question. Anyone else? All right, then we'll go to our polls again. And sorry, I'm just trying, the poll thing is a bit new to me, so. Oh, here we go, financial. So financial report, do you approve of the financial report? Yes, no, or abstain? So if you'd use your, oh, sorry, there it is. Do you approve of the financial report? Yes, no, or abstain, please?
John, while those are tallying, the person dialed in on the mobile phone needs to mute. I think that's what's causing the echo.
All right, if someone on a mobile phone would mute, we'd appreciate it. All right, 96% have voted, so I think we'll, and that is 88% approve, 12% abstain, there are no no's, so. Great, okay. This brings us to our next agenda item, which is the presentation of the road report by our road chair, Ryan Dignard. If you'd take over, Ryan, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, John. Okay, good morning, everyone. I just wanted to welcome everyone to our last virtual AGM for White Trout Road. And at least I hope it's our last one. And next year we can be back down at the Lions camp. You know, it'll be nice to see everyone in person and not have to worry about these restrictions. So hope everyone is you know, safe and healthy, and we can get back to normal soon. Looking at the road, as I do every year, I just kind of summarize the road as it was in the spring. It was accessible in mid to late March this year, and we seem to have been gifted with a bit of an early spring this year, so a little bit earlier maybe than other years. The black flies and mosquitoes are out for anyone who has not been up to the cottage. The road looked pretty good this year. It looked great. A few potholes, but you know, people have been filling those you know, as they sort of appear. So thank you very much to those who have been chipping in like that. You know, we tried to do a little bit of spring maintenance with a leaf blowing campaign, just to get you know, any of the leaves that are along the side of the road out of the way before grading occurs, but that kind of got shut down with the latest lockdown. So we've been sort of chipping away at it, but there's a little bit left to do. So if anyone feels like doing a little bit, feel free. Most of the culverts are working well, I think, from the ones I've seen. But please let me know if there's anything that needs some attention, and we'll look into it. A lot of the maintenance of the culverts can be done at the worker bee this year if it hasn't already been done. And again, I usually just put out the reminder, especially for any new people, that you know, in the spring, just be careful of bringing in too heavy of loads when it's a soft road. Right now, the road is quite firm, but just you know, with the spring and even the fall, it sometimes gets soft, especially along the sides. So just be careful when coming in with heavy loads. Just to review quickly what we did last year for maintenance. We only had one culvert we worked on, which is near Molson Corner, up at the top of that hill, and it was just to reseed it and fix the sort of dip in the road there. Then we placed 10 loads of material on the road and had it fully graded. Later in the summer, we had a targeted grading corners and hills where a lot of the washboard occurs. Then there's the culvert at the intersection with Meeting Trail. It was going to be worked on, but it's postponed till this year, and we'll have that one fixed up. There's some material right on the corner there, and Mike Beatles is going to help us out with that project. For trees, Jackie alluded to this. We did, as part of our 5-year plan, want to deal with some of the, there's quite a number of dead, mainly American beech trees, and some that people had some concerns about falling on the road. So we did have them come in and identified 20 trees to take out and or basically just drop. 15 of them were completed last fall, and then they started hitting them again this spring. I think there's just one right on the edge of the road near Clear Lake that needs to come down. And so we negotiated a pretty good deal, about $3,000 for that project, and that was from our special projects fund. So I think this should do us for the next several years, aside from any trees that fall due to storms. But if anyone has any questions regarding fallen trees impacting the road and what to do if you're coming in on the road and come across a fallen tree, you can let me know and contact me. We can go over that. Let's talk about this year's maintenance. So as per my 2020 fall road report, which you would have received several weeks ago, we're in year 2 of 5 of the plan. This year, our road fees remain the same, and we have a very good budget to do the maintenance. Bacher has indicated that they're quite busy this spring and cannot get to our maintenance until mid-June, so a couple weeks away still. Last year we were really lucky. They were hounding us to start the work early, so we got to it even before the AGM last year. Other years we've done it in July, so we're still going to be ahead of the game, I think. But Bacher's really busy, and they've had to buy new trucks, and the Ontario government's restricting use of old trucks or something like that. So it sounds like they're juggling a lot of work right now. So I hope to see them in a couple weeks from now. Bacher and their subcontractors' fees have gone up by about 10%. So although this seems high, because I thought it seemed a bit high, last year the fees did not go up at all. So the average about 5%. I was expecting about 3 per year for inflation, but anyway, this is what we're dealing with. So for example, a load of material went from $450 to about $500 now for a load of material. Regardless, we do have the budget for it, the fees for it. So I am going to, or have told him to go ahead and get some more material, about 10 loads for the road, and of course the usual grading. And I think we'll try to get that second grading again later in the year to deal with the washboarding, because I think it did a really good job. We also had a member present to be there when the road work is carried out. It was done early the last 2 years, so I haven't spoken to Don yet, but he may or may not want to do that again, but we'll try to find somebody who can be there to accept that. Additional items. The only additional item I have is that I want to do is last year we were going to get some culvert markers, and I think we'll be able to do that this year. And Mike Beadle was going to source those for us. And so the purpose of this is to be able to easily find the culverts, especially in the winter, to make sure they're flowing. And I think they'll also nicely act as a geographic marker to aid with identifying specific road areas for contractors, or to tell people at the worker bee, go over to marker XYZ or whatever. So I think they'll come in handy. Okay, moving on. Just again, back to the 5-year plan. I've had numerous discussions with Bacher about this, but we're a gravel road. We need to maintain it, its quality, and to allow continued access to our properties. It's just some of it's just unavoidable, the grading, the gravel replacement, but some of it's going to be part of our 5-year plan, like ditching and culvert replacement. So some of it's not going to occur every year. So we plan to monitor the ditches and the culverts to ensure they're working and address them when they are not. So we'll have a good look at that in the next year or two. This year, we didn't have a road fee increase, but next year and in 2024, I have it down that we would have a slight increase just to maintain the goals set forth in the 5-year plan. So we're trying to have that fund for special projects, but we're also trying to maintain a $2,000 bank balance, and that is an emergency fund, just in case something drastic happens that we have to tackle right away. We're also need the extra funds to cover increases from contractors, etc. So future increases beyond the 5 years will be determined when developing the next 5-year plan. And as mentioned before, that $3,000 for the lock tree removal was funded by the special projects fund. But these road fee increases are approximate, but may change as we go along, since times right now are unpredictable. And as I mentioned, Bacher's increase was a bit unexpected, but right now we're we're okay with this year's budget. So we'll monitor how things go and plan our work and fee increases accordingly. The last item I want to talk about is just the worker bee. Last year was a great success. Thank you to all the volunteers who came out. And without your help, we could not have accomplished everything you did. 2018 and 19 were also very good years. Prior to that, participation was a little bit low. Again, for anyone who doesn't know, what we do at the worker bees is minor road repairs. A lot of it is tree and brush clearing because we do it in July. A lot of the growth is occurring or has occurred. So we want to make sure we have clear lines of sight. It's a safety issue when especially on corners. So I think the worker bee is quite important, and I feel it is still relevant to maintain the quality and safety of our road. So the tasks we do as caretakers of the road save us money in the end, as we would need to hire contractors to do all of these things, and of course causing our road fees to increase. I think it's also a great way to meet your fellow cottagers, and I hope when this is all done and we can meet together and actively get together, my plan is to maybe hold a little meet and greet barbecue at the end of the worker bee, probably next year. I would think that might be reasonable. So that's the plan anyway. But just to plug this year's worker bee, come on out, give us a hand, bring your family and friends. It's only a couple of hours that we need to be there. So just bring some rakes, shovels, weed whackers, leaf blowers, shears, saws, and bug spray. Come in your car or truck and ATV, and we typically meet at the gravel pit around 9 a.m. and that's where the assignments typically get handed out. We have a map, and it'll show you just where to where you need to go. So I'll put out a big red sign along the road a few weeks prior to the date, but please expect the date to be Saturday, July 10th, pending no more lockdowns in effect. I think if everything's pretty good by then, in the sense that we can move about freely, we'll try to get it done. But I will send around an email if that's not the case. So I only have a couple more little things to say, and then maybe I'll just quickly open up the floor if there's something that the membership would like to say. Couple items that I'm still kind of looking into. Don't think they've quite died yet, but I'm still getting some numbers from people out there. Road widening. I still gotta have another discussion with Bacher about this. He had kind of indicated it's difficult to road widen without incurring like significant costs, but I just want to get him out here again to go over that with me. A couple areas I think may benefit from some road widening. The other one was the road paving. I got an estimator that's supposed to be getting me some pricing, and so we'll see what he says. But again, the frost heave I saw this spring was incredible in a couple areas. The only place I didn't see frost heave was coming down the hill from County Road 8. Otherwise, there was a bit of frost heave in most other places. So I'd hate to see the road get ruined if we paved it. So I'll explore that a little further. That's all I have. I think can open the floor up a little and see if anyone else wants to bring anything else to my attention.
Thank you, Ryan, very much. I would like to open it to anyone who'd like to ask questions of Ryan. Just unmute yourself and speak up. And if too many people are speaking at a time, I'll try to be the traffic cop.
I've got
Ken?
one question.
Ken?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ken, go ahead.
I was just wondering, what is the procedure? Should you come in and find a log or a fallen tree across the road? Other than,
Um,
He's actually trying to go out, like I guess to town or whatever. And when we were coming in, she was trying to drag a tree. If you're on here right now, that was us. And he actually dragged it off the road to get her in and out, like to get her past.
yeah, it wasn't a
Yeah,
huge tree.
But if it's a big one and I'm, say, going to town and I'm by myself, what do I do?
right. So, you know, a lot of times if I've come up on a weekend, you can tell a tree's been cleared by somebody.
Yeah,
You know, there always seems to be somebody that's either clearing it, you know, part of our membership, you know, everybody likes getting free wood too, right? So a lot of times I would say confidently that 90% of the time somebody is dealing with it before the majority of us come up on the weekend. In the event that you're up here, maybe it's a Saturday or Sunday and a storm has come through, you know, again, a lot of people like to deal with it, especially if it's fallen right over. It's just going to be a matter of chopping it up and getting out of the way, but it is going to delay you if you want to go to town. If it's significant, or if it's a leaning tree, or if it's dangerous in any way, you know, we don't expect people to tackle that, and it's a quick call over to Lock. And I think for the most part they respond pretty well. I don't know exactly how quick they can respond, but they will respond and deal with that. And once a tree's fallen, I mean, it's not very expensive. I mean, we had a tree dropped, it was like $125. It gets expensive when they have to take it down limb by limb when it's around your cottage, for example. But if they can drop a tree, they don't charge much. So feel free to, you know, call them. You don't have to call me or Jackie or John first. And if it's, you know, legitimate for the road, we just, you know, we'll cover it. We'll you know, let us know and we'll talk to Lock because they'll need to invoice us.
Okay.
Is that clear? Great. Anyone else questions for Ryan? Okay, well, thank you, Ryan. We're all impressed with the hard work you do on behalf of the association and the good
Yep, no problem.
relationships you have with Bacher and other companies that provide service to us. So thank you very much for that. Seeing that there's no further discussion right now, we'll ask for approval of the road report. And so if you look at your screens, do you approve of the report of the road chair? Yes, no, or abstain? Boy, everybody's quick about this. That's great. We've got 80, 92, 96, 100%. Great. And Ryan, you'll be pleased to know that there's unanimous approval for your report. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, in a somewhat associated report, we've invited Karina Zetchell, a superstar in the organization who served for many years as secretary treasurer and who was kind enough to step forward and look after the very annoying chore of billing for snow plowing. And Karina's asked the executive to make a report and some comments this year. So Karina, we turn the floor to you and invite you to give your report.
Thank you, John. Okay, well, hello, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to be reading my report here. When we first began plowing white trout about 3 decades ago, there were about half a dozen winter participants. This past winter, we reached an all-time high of 33 users. That's 54% of a total of 61 cottage owners. I'll be clear, I'm counting cottages, not properties. There are some people who own more than one property, but I'm counting the cottages as opposed to lots. And I did not include the one cottage that was mentioned before, which is more or less a derelict cottage and hasn't been visited in a long time. This past year, our total bill for plowing the roads A and B was $5,700. This amount was based on a maximum of 15 plows. Our road was plowed 16 times this year. We were not charged extra for going over the 15. Our road was sanded about 11 times. I say about because there was some early season sanding that was not recorded by Bacher, but based on the amount of sanding that was recorded and the estimate that I was given by Dolores, I feel confident that our deposit that we made towards sanding of $1,500 more than covered the sanding that was done. Meeting Trail received a separate bill at the end of the season for sanding of $565. I paid that bill with money that I collected from 3 participants who joined the winter road late. So they had paid me directly. So I used that money to pay for Meeting Trail sanding. And the reason I did that was that because we had the 3 late users, I adjusted the fees after the fact to reflect those 3 users. So our plowing costs went down, and everyone was eligible for a credit. So for those using only Road A, their credit was $34.19. And everyone using roads A and B, their credit was $33.21. Now, if you're quick at math, you'll notice that the Meeting Trail people are the ones using Road A only. That credit does not quite cover the cost of the sanding, but the amount was negligible. And so I'll just tack that on to next year. I'm just looking where I wrote that down, and I'm not just quite seeing it, but it was like something like $6. It was very small. So I'll just include that in the calculation for the fees for next winter. And if anyone who uses roads A and B would like that $33 credit now as opposed to later, they can let me know. But otherwise, I would just, again, include that in the calculation for next year. There were a few plowing problems, especially at the beginning of the season, which revolved around parking spots not being plowed out sufficiently, especially those that were shared by 2 to 4 cars. There were some incomplete plowing jobs on the road. And later in the season, a couple of times, the roadway became a bit narrow. All of these, I feel, were addressed quite well by Bacher when they were called. In fact, there was a meeting with one of the plow drivers, Scott, who was in charge of our road, who came out and met with a couple of us to see, how things could be improved, and they did. They were very responsive. I spoke to Scott a couple of times in the winter. He was always very pleasant, I felt, and committed to providing us with a good service. And I know that there were others of you who also contacted Scott before heading to the cottage and found him to be a great, friendly resource. If there are other problems that I haven't mentioned that you would like to discuss with me, you can do so after my report or send me an email afterwards. I spoke to Dolores many times, so these are all things that I've been making notes of things to bring up with them for next season. Yeah. Dolores wanted me to know, wanted me to mention that there were a few vehicles that became stuck and that their plow drivers did pull out. while some of them are very happy to do so, it's not their job to do so. And this might be happening because, you know, winter tires aren't on, or the tread's not good enough, or the all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive is not available in the vehicle. Please, if you or one of your guests becomes stuck, it really should not be relying on Bacher to plow or to pull you out. You should be looking at calling a towing service. Okay, and Bacher has said there is still a problem with low-hanging branches that are scratching their trucks. And I think it's hard to, in the fall, it looks like, oh, they're out of the way. But when the snow falls on them, it really pushes them down. So if you could do that in the fall, really trim back the trees over your driveway if you're having that plowed, they would very much appreciate it. I don't know if they might get to the point where they refuse to plow if their trucks are being scratched up all the time. For next season, like Ryan said, Bacher is talking about fees going up. I was under the impression it might be as high as 15%, but I've since been told that it might not be that high. So by mid-September, I should know the exact amount that it will go up. Bacher again would like us to pay as a group, and so how we did it last year is not okay with them. So everyone would have to, you know, pay into an account, and then there would be one lump sum that went out. They do not want us to pay for sanding up front, which is something we did this year. So as of this next season, we would not be doing that. We would wait until the end of the season to receive a bill from them. So that would mean there would be a payment in the fall for the plowing, and then there would be a secondary payment required for sanding in the spring. There were some things that we had I talked about with some people, is maybe that we could have an agreement with Bacher about a plowing standard so that we could ensure that the road was always plowed to its maximum width. And I don't know, I mean, I'm not here all the time, so I don't know how soon after a snowfall it's plowed, but if they could give us some kind of a window in which they do plow, that might be something to discuss. And there was someone had asked about, can we have some more pullouts? That's potentially something we can look at. And yeah, I think that's it.
Karina, can Peter maybe comment on how the road was, since he was up here quite a bit?
We're
Yes.
in different areas.
Yes, we've spent most of the winter up here. And as Karina mentioned, at certain times, the road plowed was fairly narrow. And there were not many spots where you really could cross with another car. This might have led to some people getting stuck, because once you pull out, it doesn't take much. You sort of slide off the road, and then it's very difficult to get back on the road again. I've seen that personally.
Yeah.
From actually a big truck coming in who actually got stuck because he tried to cross with me and he went too far out. Eventually he made it, but it was pretty narrow at times. Yes.
Yeah, the hard pack, I don't know if there's a way to do this or if there's an art to this, but that hard pack, we all drive center all the time. So that hard pack is only, you know, as wide as a car and a half.
Exactly, yes.
If there's a way to get that hard pack out further, but it you know, you don't want to get too close to the you know, the edge where they plowed the snow to. If that's why if that's at the maximum and we start making that hard pack
Yes,
wider, you
correct.
don't have that issue.
And as it accumulates and then you get freezing temperature, it becomes almost like concrete and it's pretty difficult to move. Now, just as a side, when Chester used to plow the road, he had a blower, as you know, so he was able to cut that accumulation and blow it into the woods. So unless they have a blower, I don't see any way of widening the road because you can only push so much. And once it's frozen, it's not going to move anymore.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, thank you, Peter, for your comments and our ability to learn from your experience of living up here almost full time. And thank you very much, Karina, for a very thorough report. And particularly thank you for all the hard work you did in keeping Bacher satisfied and getting our bills paid and contacting the membership. We appreciate it very much. This now leads us to the next item on the agenda, which is I've titled WTRA Mandate Discussion and Vote. The executive has noticed over the last couple of years that more and more people are using their cottages as partly as homes. There are more renovations going on. There's more people wanting access in the wintertime. As Karina carefully noted, the number of people involved or members involved in the snow plowing each year has increased. So we're getting to a stage where partly because of the awkwardness of the paying and so on, we're wondering if White Trout Road Association should become a full year operation and all of us share in the costs. So the advantages would be simpler administration. There are some other aspects, and we hope you've read the report that was attached to Ryan's Fall Road report on this topic and this issue. More and more insurance companies are requiring that cottages be accessible all year and in fact inspected on a periodic basis. We feel that the real estate values of cottages are increasing as there's more year-round road access. And so the trend is more and more in this direction. So your executive has decided this year to put the issue to the membership to decide whether or not we should become an all-season association. I'd like to point out that there's no difference to the insurance. We're insured all year long for liability and for our director's insurance, so there's no change there. Obviously, the downside is for each individual member of the association, it would be more costly because of the snow clearing fees. And it's obvious too, for people who are only here in the summer and never intend to come in the wintertime, it's an added cost. The executive hopes that we would argue and persuade you that the overall benefit to the community is greater by this cost sharing. And so what I'd like to do now, having given you this brief summary, is to open the discussion to the entire membership in attendance at this meeting. So if anyone would like to ask questions or make comments or argue for one position or another, we'd be happy to entertain that right now.
Yeah, John, I got a couple questions here regarding this four-season thing. Could this be more leading towards having the municipality kind of take over the road eventually by showing more people coming in if we maintain the road, or you have more people accessing it, or things of that nature?
I would expect, I have no specific knowledge or information on that topic, Phil. I would guess, given current Algonquin Highlands budgets and all the rest of it, it'd be a pretty hard argument to make. I would think, though, that your question's a good one, and if we get more and more people all the time with properties and more 12-month access, that we'd have a good argument. But at what point they'd agree to take it over, would be very, very difficult for me to predict, although I'm happy to have any other members respond to your question. Anybody?
Yeah, can
Maybe
you hear me?
Mike. Sorry, go ahead.
Fred, yeah, it's Fred Cox here. I think before the municipality takes over any road, it has to be 60 feet wide. And that's always been the problem with this particular road here, that we checked it many years ago and that was their answer. So before they would maintain it, it has to be a minimum of 60 feet wide. And then there's no guarantee that they will maintain it, even if we went ahead and built a 60-foot wide road.
Well, that certainly poses real physical restrictions in some parts. And of course, the cost to get to 60 feet wide would be pretty prohibitive.
That's right.
Anybody else? I'm wondering if Mike Beadle, who's got quite a lot of experience with road work and construction, has any comment on that. Mike, you're on mute, by the way.
I would say that the answer is no, because until you do that, you have to bring the road up to standard. So in order to bring the road up to a secondary road, you're going to have to blast all the bedrock out to put a certain amount of granular underneath the road as well. So the cost per kilometer is huge. And if it's a 2-kilometer road, you associate that. So basically the way the municipalities work now is that if it is, you're going to have a tax-based sharing. It's highly unlikely that they would even entertain that, because again, it's coming over Crown land. It's not even county, it's federal lands, because they're coming over Crown land. So I would say that you're really pushing that to a pretty definitive no, because nobody has any money in the municipality or the provincial level for 60 cottagers. The cost would be prohibitive. So that would be my first guess, but you can ask. I think that the previous comment was from was basically you wouldn't get that unless you do it a major road construction. And then once you hit onto Meeting Trail, so again, you're looking at it, that's all private road access, because once you hit that certain section, so there's nobody there to basically be able to put a municipal road. So it'd only be a
I see on my screen Gordon's iPhone, and I suspect you've unmuted yourself, Gordon. Did you want to make a comment now? And if so, we'd be happy to hear it. And if you could go back on mute so we don't get this feedback, we'd appreciate that. Go ahead, Gordon. Oh, Gordon's gone on mute. I guess maybe it was.
Just to follow up then on my question here, with the number of people that are using the road for season, is there any government program with the municipality at all that we could go back to them and say, well, can we get some funding or anything like that to maintain the road to a higher level?
I don't know, but I guess you're asking the executive to make that inquiry of the local government.
Well, yeah, I thought, I remember reading somewhere in one of the Cottage Life magazines that there's municipality money out there for people that, because we're basically being charged, like the municipality doesn't care whether you're a seasonal road or a 4-season road. They're billing your taxes based on you have road access. There's no differentiation between 3-season or 4-season. It's you have road access. So if they're taxing us based on a 4-season access, I'm just wondering if there's any way we could get some kind of funding or grants or whatever that we can get money to put back into the road. Okay, because we are going to be classified as a 4-season if this goes through what you guys are talking about, have everybody involved where it's a 4-season association. Is there any way we can try to get more funding or try to get, if we're not going to go this, is there some way we can go get taxes reduced?
Right. Well, I don't believe anybody on the meeting right now has a definitive response to that. So we'll take it, the executive will take it on as an open question and try to get information on that as soon as possible.
The only comment I'll make is that somewhere I've read that if a municipality takes over the road, they have all the power. And there's no guarantee that they wouldn't shut this road down in the winter and it wouldn't be maintained in the winter. And then we'd have no control over the road. So I think that if it becomes a municipal road and they don't let us come in the winter, we would not have the freedom to then just go and plow it and access the contents. I don't know where I read that. We can look into that, but that's a high risk in my opinion.
Okay, thanks, Ryan, for that. Any other comments, questions, points to be made?
We have one, John. Just
Yeah, go ahead.
we can't come to the cottage in the winter, and I get the point of paying more money, and I have no problem with that. If more people pay, there should be more money left over then at the end of the year. Are we going to see improvements then come springtime with hopefully extra money from the winter road? Make sense?
Well, it does, but really, I think the idea is to try to spread the base so that the extra money paid being to be paid for the snow plowing would just simply cover the additional cost. It's a subtle question about improved road. I think if, snow plowing's done well and we're good about not allowing contractors to bring heavy trucks in the shoulder seasons, we're going to have a better road. But the notion of the additional fees being to improve the road is, I don't think, the main thrust of this. It's really to lower the cost base of snow plowing. And I'd be happy if Ryan or Karina or Jackie would, or Mike would comment on that as well. I mean, there have been, let me just say before you, the others jump in, there have been initiatives over the years to quote unquote improve the road. And there's always a debate as to how much we as cottagers want to invest in road improvement. I mean, we'd all like a better road, although I think White Trout road system right now is excellent, but it can always be made better. The question is, how much do we want to invest in making it better? And I don't believe that this initiative is for road improvement so much as spreading the base of snow clearing and providing all year access to our properties.
Sorry, John, I wasn't my question that the road being good, but I'm just saying by my math, there should be more money if you have more people paying. Because my understanding of the issue was that people are using the road and not paying. So now if it's only 54% of the people are using the road, you're going to get 48% of the people who never use the road are now going to contribute.
Yes.
Therefore, that's all I'm saying. So I wasn't questioning saying that the road is not in good shape. I'm just saying by my math, that should allow then for extra money at the end of the day, where if it goes into improved ditches, it goes into something. And if they see a benefit, we can't come to the cottage. I'll never see a benefit of my contribution. That's fine. I don't mind being neighborly. I guess what I'm getting at is, would there be extra money? Then therefore you'd see, we could do that much more to the road to improve it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, it's an open question in a way, because I must say while we've done some pre-budgeting, we haven't, the executive hasn't nailed down a precise cost structure just yet. So so I can't answer really definitively, but you did remind me of another point, and that is that we've had a problem over the years of people saying, no, I won't come to my cottage, so I won't be part of the winter pool of people paying for snow clearing. And then we find that they've changed their mind and want to make maybe 1 or 2 trips to their cottage during the winter. So they've used it during the road, but not paid. So there is a benefit to the whole association in spreading the snow clearing costs across everybody, and then not having to worry about those who are perhaps not really following the rules that have been established. It's another argument for making it an all-season organization.
It also allows people to access their cottages much sooner. If you weren't plowing the road, you wouldn't have access as soon in the spring. And then there's the insurance that John mentioned that I guess, you know, that might be a requirement by your insurance company for safety reasons. And I guess it also provides extra value for your cottage to have it for you to be able to say that it's accessible all year round.
Don't forget fire and emergency services. I don't know if they can come down here in the winter, but technically that would allow, there's a cottage fire, you know, fire truck can maybe get down here and at least do something about it, but not if it's not plowed.
So if I understand this correctly, then, can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so right now people are paying roughly $600 a year that are contributing towards winter plowing. Is that correct, Karina?
No, no, last year it was, so with the three late people, it was for those using just road A, it was $86 per person. For those using road A and B, it was $236 per person. And those using meeting trail, it was an additional $300. I did work out, I took this year's plowing fees, and I increased it by 15%. Now that, like I said in my report, it might not be as much as a 15% increase, but I did the numbers including everybody, and if we were to do this and everyone paid for road A, the cost would be $53 per person. And those using roads A and B, it would be $150 per person.
Okay, so basically what I'm trying to, like when I did it the one year, what I did with Bacher was I negotiated a contract with them for, you know, road A, road B, and basically they gave me a quote, and I had everybody send their post-dated checks to Bacher directly. So I didn't have to handle any of the money. I don't know what Joan, because she looked after the meeting trail at that point, but I negotiated so that it was 50-50, you know, split. So in other words, if you're paying for meeting trail and road A, or if you're paying for road A, road B, we calculated when we negotiated the contract that it's roughly exactly the same. So it should have been pretty equal on both sides. So to get back to the question that was asked about, will there be money left over at the end of the season? Ultimately, everybody will see an increase in their road fees, and everybody will have year-round access. So there won't be, you know, technically money left over, in my opinion, but it'll be, we'll just see, everybody will have to make the increase, and it'll have to be estimated. So based on what the last 2 years that we paid in for plowing will have to be taken into consideration then when we calculate what the new road fee would be for the coming, you know, for next year.
Yeah, Jackie, I hear you, and that's what causes me the most problems about this, is that there could be an additional problems with working out the finances if we include the winter road plowing. And I would love to make this as simple as possible. So if anyone has any suggestions for that, and for sure we would have to talk with Bacher and get them on a system where we could say, okay, next year we will be increasing by such and such a percent, so that we don't always have to wait until September to figure out what they're going to be charging. And with speaking to Dolores, I feel pretty confident that we will get there. I don't know why. She couldn't really explain why they've needed to increase, but maybe for some of the reasons that that Ryan alluded to, and maybe yeah, I don't know, but I'm hoping that maybe because it was a strange year, maybe we can get on a more, you know, increasing by, you know, 2%, 3%, whatever a year, so that, you know, at least for the next 5 years, we would know exactly what the winter plowing fee would be.
Well, no matter what we end up voting for today, I really liked it the way that I set it up, where everybody just paid Barker directly, and we had an agreement with them that they're a signed agreement that we're going to promise you, 15 plows and 11 sands, and it's going to be roughly $6,000. So we're going to split it up, 3,000 in the fall, 3,000 in the spring, type of thing. That way, it really, all of the work involved in collecting the money and paying and negotiating is done in the late fall, and it's basically done. It's done for the whole, right, for the whole winter, and you don't have to be trying to collect money or do anything coming February, March, April, May to collect it. But having said that, I also want to say that I find it, if we don't vote for the combined winter and summer, then we really need to have a better plan for people that just come up once. Some people, they're up, like Shan, like your dad, is up a lot, living almost up here in the wintertime, which is wonderful. But I mean, it's, if somebody has to come up for a weekend, or they come up one time, but they're expected to pay the full road plowing fee for the whole year, that also seems a little bit outrageous,
No,
think
it's not.
I agree. There's no way. If you're going to use that road in the winter, even if it's a one-time shot, you should be paying the fee. Because you do have
Absolutely.
winter access. Okay. Now, I understand where a lot of people are saying, well, I only come up, I check on my property, I'm here 2 hours, whatever. Fair enough. But there's enough of us up here. You can make a phone call to one of the other people, say, hey, can you go check on my cottage? Can you do whatever? Okay. I check on all my neighbors' cottages. I was up here a lot this winter. Matter of fact, I cleared out about, 15 trees that fell down across Meeting Trail this year. So, if there's somebody up here, that's all you got to do is make a phone call. So Jackie, to your point, saying, well, they should have a fee if they come up once or twice. No, make a phone call to a neighbor, or make a phone call to somebody else. Say, hey, are you up at the cottage? Can you check on my place for me? Or drop a key off to somebody you know is going to be here using winter access, and say, can you go and check, make sure the hot water tank didn't explode because it froze? Can you check and make sure the roof's okay? Do I need to get my roof shoveled off?
I disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that, because if you have a contract negotiated at the beginning of the year, like I did it, where everybody has sent in their checks, their post-dated checks, it's done. Barker has their money. There's no more collecting to be done, but somebody needs to run up there for a night or a weekend, then expecting them to pay the full road fee for that one visit is, now you're saying that I should be hoping that the Kennedys are up, or somebody's up in case I have an emergency or something. So to go traipsing over to so basically leaning on the charity of my neighbor, rather than, why don't we just, because when I did it, I had people call and say, but I only want to go up like one time. Do you have like a set
It doesn't
fee for
matter.
that?
Doesn't matter.
John, rather than get into a big, long discussion, I think everyone knows how they feel about this. What I would suggest is maybe you call the vote at this time.
Yeah.
I just would like to make one more comment. if
Yes,
I
go
may.
ahead, Peter.
Well, we're talking about being neighborly and being good corporate or White Trout Road Association citizens. Take my neighbor, Wayne Anthony. He paid the road fee. He says, I'm not coming up, but I'm going to pay anyway because I feel part of this community. Now, I think that's the spirit we all should have. Thank you.
Yeah, good comment.
Good point, Peter.
And Fred, I think you made a good point that, and if anyone wants to make a last minute comment or ask a question, we'll do that. But within the next couple of minutes, I'd like to call for a vote.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, I'd just like to say a couple of things.
Okay, Ken first, and then Christine DeVries.
Thank you. First off, I'm pretty sure that the cottages aren't zoned for year-round occupancy by Algonquin Highlands as the municipality. So I'm just putting that out there. The other thing is a lot of the cottages, even with the road, it's several hundred meters to the cottage down, probably an unplowable road in a lot of cases. And I think the final thing I wanted to say is, for better or worse, the long and short of it is if we go for everybody pays what you're basically asking is the cottages that don't use, the winter are subsidizing those who do use the cottage in the short of it, as far as I'm concerned.
I would just like to add to that the first year we were here, I begged Balker. He actually came on site and he looked at me and it was a fast no, absolutely no. He said, your road is treacherous and it's not worth my life. He wouldn't pay if I paid him $200 a plow. The only thing that he would do was to push in, I guess, like a parking space,
A little notch.
like a notch. And, I don't know, it was like 50 or $100 a time. And we just said no. So for us, like, we can't, unless we snowshoe in or, had like, what do you call it? Help me, skidoos. We can't even access our cottage. We've got like a 50-foot drop and we've got a roller coaster road in. And it was an absolute unequivocal no. He wouldn't even entertain the idea. He said he was asked by the previous owner multiple times.
Good. Okay, thank
Okay.
you, Diane, for that. Christine DeVries, I think, wanted to say something. Christine, go ahead.
Thank you very much, John. I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Yeah. Yes, very clearly.
Thank you. I just want to mention that, yes, we have neighbors on both sides of us that do not come up in the winter, but they still pay to have the road plowed. They are concerned about the insurance for their cottage. And I just want to say to those people who are saying that $33 a year are too much to pay to have the road plowed, that, or even up to 100, that what would they do if their neighbor said, yes, your water heater has broken and your cottage is flooding, or yes, your roof needs to be to have the snow removed. You better get up there because we've had quite a snowfall. Now, are you going to use the road? Absolutely. And my husband and I, now that we're retired, we have been coming up quite a bit, and we see a lot of cars come down these roads. And I don't know if that is only the 33 people that pay, because there's a lot of traffic, especially on weekends. And yes, sometimes they come even from other areas because we're ice fishing and we talk to them. And, oh yeah, we're from this cottage or that cottage. And sometimes I've never even seen them before. So I don't know how many of these people who say they don't come up do come up, or have their children come up or friends come up. But I think that's something they have to think about themselves. But it would be nice if we had a lower amount to pay and everybody could feel free to just come up and enjoy the area. Now, in discussion about how our cottages have been or are seen in terms of our taxes, you're going to be charged high taxes, whether you are winterized or not, because they do not charge you by whether you've got a furnace. They charge you by the size of your property, your frontage, and the size of your cottage, and whether you have a boathouse and that. So whether we have a road that is a 3-season or a 4-season, I don't really think that's going to affect your taxes. You're already charged very high taxes. So enjoy your cottage. Another thing, people who have moved up to this area like we have improved their cottage. Even though we thought we loved the cottage that we have improved our cottage. The first cottage was not winterized. The cottage we have now is winterized. The trend is improve your cottage. It is an investment and more people are winterizing. So try to think ahead. So the little amount that you would have to pay to keep that road going is worth it. It's an investment. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Christine. That's a great summary. Terrific comments. Thank you very much. With the agreement of all the members now, I think I'd like to call for a vote on this matter.
John, I have a
John.
question about the
Yes,
process.
Jamie, go ahead.
Just a question about the process of voting. So I have a proxy. So how do we do that in this situation? And then what passes something in this forum? Is it a unanimous thing or a percentage?
It's a percentage. Our bylaws don't stipulate on any matter that we have to have other than a majority rule. I do have the proxies. There were 5 proxies and I have the results, which I'll keep to myself obviously now. Those proxy votes will be added to the votes that we take in the next few minutes.
Okay, so when the clerks told me what their vote is, you already have that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good, thanks.
And John,
John?
I haven't been able to vote this whole time, probably because I'm a co-host, just so you know that.
Yes.
I don't
okay.
know.
All right, that would be you and Jackie then. Okay, so I'm going to launch that poll right now. So you see in front of you, do you approve of the change to WTRA that will make it an all-season organization and distribute the costs related to snow and or ice removal across all members? Yes, no, or abstain?
John,
Yes. Yes, Peter.
Before we vote, is this sort of a preliminary vote? Because I'm sure for this to be an unanimous decision wouldn't have to be brought to the whole meeting. We only have 28 participants out of 66. Is this sort of a preliminary to indicate whether this has legs or to bring to the next physical meeting?
Well,
I think as long as you have a quorum.
that was just, okay,
I
Fred,
think
go ahead.
I was just going to say, as long as you have a quorum here, the meeting is a legal meeting, as set out by your bylaws and constitution. So I think you can pass whatever you want to pass or turn down whatever you want to turn down based on the legal meeting.
Yes, you're absolutely right, which is why we established the quorum at the beginning. You're
That's
right, Fred, you and I are thinking along the same lines. I think the feeling is we sent out the material on this issue quite a long time ago. I sent the proxy. The proxy had an ability to vote on this issue. So every member of the organization has had this. It's not new to any member of the organization at this point. So Peter, does that respond to your
Well,
issue?
I'm all for it. It's just I don't want to bark up the wrong tree and then have a lot of opposition from people that have not participated. That's all.
No, I do understand that, but I think
They had an
Brad
opportunity.
summarized things. You know, we are a legal quorum. We've done things according to the bylaws, and I think the feeling of the executive that we discussed before the meeting started was that if it was a very, very close vote, then the executive would take that under advisement and decide how to proceed next. But we did feel it's a bit of a contentious issue, and that you know, this vote at this time would indicate to the executive what direction we were heading in.
Thank you.
Okay.
We bear in mind, we still have to, you know, the party that's not a part of this meeting is Bacher Construction. We still have to negotiate with them, and you know, if they come back and say we're doubling your snowplow fees for next year, or something like that, it's a whole different. So I think you have to trust the executive that we'll use our good judgment in moving forward.
Or you get another quote. You get another quote from somebody.
Yeah, but that's right. That's
John,
right. If
John,
anybody else wanted to plow our roads, that's right.
John, can you just clarify for everybody that this does not include the cost for meeting trail off of White Trout Association? This vote is for White Trout only, correct?
Well, Mike, all the members of Meeting Trail are also members of White Trout Road
Does that
Association.
mean the
so-
white trout is plowed at the same in that dollar value then? Because I think that's the mistake, or that's the misunderstanding. I don't believe that our road's covered because we cover that, and that is not in the white trout numbers.
Well,
There's
Karina
always
did,
there's a separate fee for Meeting Trail, absolutely, and I did give those numbers.
But what I'm saying is that you're voting on the numbers do not include the meeting trail costs. Please clarify.
I can give you a cost.
No,
So
but what we're voting on is that if this is adopted, is meeting trail included in that so that white trout is being associated with that?
yes, that's correct.
So our total fees are in this number for white trout and meeting trail. We don't have any extra other than our sanding cost. That's what I'm asking.
I think the vote is just whether we want to be a 3-season or 4-season. That's what the vote is.
But in the cost proposal, it's only the cost proposal on white trout.
well, I think it would benefit Meeting Trail as well because everybody on Meeting Trail would.
I agree. That's not the question. Your number proposals do not include meeting trail.
No, I think like Ryan just said, it's not about the specific numbers. Yeah, I mean, it benefits Meeting Trail too, but it's not like people on who don't live on Meeting Trail would be paying for Meeting Trail. But your road A cost, everybody would be helping to reduce the road A cost. And if everybody on Meeting Trail is then paying, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding your question.
Yeah, I do think that there's sort of three components. There's road A, road B, and Meeting Trail. And the costs of where you live as a member is a function of what you'll pay. But Mike, we've been paying extra as Meeting Trail people all along, because that's what Bacher needs to come along Meeting Trail and clear us, and that's extra work. So as Karina's just said, and others have alluded to, that the whole principle is cost spreading, not that every member of White Trout Road Association would pay exactly the same amount.
Sorry,
Does that answer your question?
I'm a little confused now because in the road report where it says what would it cost approximately, Meeting Trail costs are detailed in there. So
Yes,
if I understand Mike's question correctly, the answer is yes, Meeting Trail costs are in fact included in there.
We're not saying in this motion that all members would pay the same amount. We've never said that. It does depend on where you live.
Right. But we have an estimate for what it would cost.
But the general principle of it, broadening the cost base and reducing the overall amount still holds. It's just it wouldn't be as much for Meeting Trail members of White Trout as it would be for somebody living on Road B.
I think I was trying to give people an idea of how much less it would be if everybody contributed. I think that was the idea behind the numbers. And I think I might have used the numbers from this past season for that estimate. That was a while ago that went out, so I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, we're not talking, it would be, you could have an estimate, you could take your estimate 15% more potentially, but I'm pretty sure it won't be 15% more, but that's the maximum it could be. And then divide it by everyone on Meeting Trail, and then you could have a better idea of what it would be. But yeah, everybody's costs would definitely come down, whether you live on Meeting Trail or on Summit or wherever.
There is an important underlying point. I don't know if it's gotten a bit muddy here, and that is that all 63 members of White Trail Road Association are equal white trout members. We're one association. The Meeting Trail Cottagers Road Association is like a committee of White Trout Road Association. It's not a formal legal entity. So we're talking, at this meeting, we're talking about white trout combining Trade Winds, Pathfinder, meeting trail, Road A and Road B. And that's all of us collectively. But as I said a minute ago, and I think Karina has said, the final road fee will depend on where you live, because to Barker, there's extra work to go and plow meeting trails. So we pay more money. But the principle is it'll be less money than we paid in the past because of the broader contributor base. So at any rate, I think, Mike, I don't know if it answers your question adequately or not. I hope I've clarified that, but.
Well, I just want to, one thing, John, if Joan could verify this or not, but as I understand, we have 17 members on Meeting Trail. And I think there was 12 or 11 or 12 that did the plowing.
Snoop's going to be right up there for most.
Yeah. I don't know who's talking there, but Joan, do you recall how many were on Meeting Trail that were on?
Actually, I don't have the numbers because I didn't do it this past year, but there were more than 50% the year before. So I can't tell you the exact number.
Well, Karina, do you know how many? No, Karina, you're muted. You're muted, Karina. You're talking, but we can't hear you.
14. There were 14 who participated on meeting.
Okay, out of the 17.
Phil, I hope you're going to be dealing with the central issue here, but go ahead.
Well, what I'm getting at is this. You only got 3 people basically that are not part of it regardless. So like, is that going to be a big deal? Like if 3 people don't want to participate on the Meeting Trail
Phil,
side?
There are 23. There are 23 on Meeting Trail.
I think because you're including Pathfinder.
Yes, there's 6 people in Pathfinders, correct.
Yeah, sorry, I'm including Pathfinders, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm only talking the Meeting Trail because, well, like, that's where I guess I'm getting confused.
But
is Pathfinder part of Meeting Trail in the winter?
Phil, there's no.
Yeah, they pay the Meeting Trail fee.
You're getting down in the weeds. We've got a simple proposition here. We either vote to change the organization to all.
I get you, John. John, I get it. I'm just trying to appease the people that I know don't use they don't use Meeting Trail side anytime in the winter whatsoever. Okay, they don't. And that's why I said, you know, my neighbors, and I've been up here all winter. I drive up and down the road. I check everybody's cottage for them. So if they don't want to participate, that's fine, as far as I'm concerned. You know, that's up to them. But
okay.
There's only 3 of us.
That's great, Phil. This is a White Trout Road Association vote. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
fair enough.
80% of people have voted. There's some people not voting. 20%. Now I see 84%. Have voted. It's been up on your screen for 4 or 5 minutes now, so I'm inclined to end the polling. And what I have is, let me do the arithmetic here. Of the people at the current meeting, there are 18 who voted yes. And for the proxies, there are 3 who voted yes, and that's a total of 21. There are 5 people at this meeting who voted no, and there are 2 proxies that voted no, which is a total of 7. And there are no abstentions. So it's 21 in favor, 7 against, as things stand now. And I'm going to click on ending the polling so that freezes it. So we'll let the minutes show that this motion was approved 21-7, which is a pretty clear majority. And I will just inform you, the executive will take the next step of negotiating with Parker Construction, and we will come back to the membership with that cost structure and let you know what's in store for us. The reason I make that statement is, as I said, Barker has not been a part of this discussion. Of course, they're not a member of White Trout Road Association, but we want to proceed prudently, and so we will come back to the membership with the information. If if that next step produces any marked changes to the direction we've been heading in, then we may decide to hold another meeting to see how the membership feels. But otherwise, there's been a clear indication this morning that this new direction for White Trout Road Association has been approved. So thank you very much for your consideration and for your voting. I appreciate it. Now, the next my item on the agenda is the executive for next year. We have no one who's come forward in the last year who's wanted to overthrow the executive. So I will ask you, who would like to be president next year of White Trout Road Association? Gee, isn't that amazing? I don't see anybody stepping forward. Who would like to become secretary treasurer of the organization? I don't see anyone stepping forward. Who'd like to take over Ryan's job as road chair? Absolutely none. So seeing no activity in this matter, then I will put up nominations for the board of directors, and I will launch the polling, and you'll see on your screen it says, do you approve of the proposed board of directors for the 21-22 season, which would be the people, the incumbents now occupying these positions. Vote yes, no, or abstain, please. Well, it's Ryan, Jackie. So I see that 96% of the membership at this meeting have voted. 92% want the executive to remain as it is. None have voted no, and there are 8% abstentions. Okay, thank you very much. Then the minutes will record that the current executive will continue for another year. Fred, did you want to make a comment? You're muted. Fred, you're muted and you're speaking.
Unmute. Oh, okay.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
Listen, I just want to thank the executive and everyone involved in the Road Association. I think everyone has done a fantastic job, and I would like to move a motion that at this time we double your pay for next year as opposed to maintaining the pay that you received this year. So I'm sure that's going to receive unanimous consent, and anybody objects to that, they can so object at this time. Otherwise, you're doubling your pay. Good for you.
That's great, Fred. We really appreciate it very much.
Good.
That's terrific. We'll move now to other businesses. Has any of the members at this meeting an item that they would like to raise under other business? Right.
John, I have one. It's a concern for the people that boat on the channel. There is a tree on the other side. I know it has nothing to do with the road association, but if you look halfway down the channel, just where it's very narrow, there's a tree that's totally dead and leaning towards the water. There's great concern. There's great concern that somebody could get hurt if this tree came down, even though it's not on our property, has nothing to do with the White Trout Road Association. We called Zach in and his father last year to look at that, and they looked at that, and they were considering tearing it down in the wintertime, but the cost was excessive. But I think maybe you and I should talk. I'm not sure if the Road Association wants to get involved in this for the safety of everyone that goes up and down the channel in a boat. You can think about that and maybe get back to me later on, and we can discuss that.
Do we know who owns the property on which the tree grows?
I think it's Crown property.
Oh, heavens. Yeah, okay.
I believe it's Crown property. So you're not going to get anything from the Crown because they don't care if it comes down.
Right.
We care, and all the families that go up and down the channel at any given time will care if that tree comes down.
How about KLCA? Contact them.
I have a comment.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, I can't see who's speaking, but go ahead.
It's Bob. Bob speaking, or Chris. Yeah, it's,
I
I'm
see.
using,
Okay.
using her phone. Okay, so I talked to my neighbor about that tree, and that is the Knowltons. And apparently Grant's wife, I think it's Sue, phoned the Ministry of Natural Resources or Waterways, some ministry, and they said that if that tree falls down on the channel, that all we have to do is call them and they will come and remove it because it would be a transportation hazard. The only thing that has to happen is it's got to fall first before they come and do it for free. So that doesn't prevent it from falling on a kayaker or somebody.
That's right.
But the likelihood of that happening is pretty small. It'll probably fall down in a storm sometime. And then we phone them and they come in and remove it.
If I can just jump in, last year I did contact KLCA and they took it to their executive right away, but they said they don't deal with issues like that, and basically put it back in they had no budget to come in and cut down a tree that was a potential hazard. So I think it does come down to those of us using the channel to deal with it or to wait till it falls. But I don't really like that idea because who knows how long it could take the ministry to remove a tree in the middle of summer if it fell down in a rainstorm. So anyway, I just wanted to add in that KLCA is prepared to do anything.
Yeah, interesting remarks. It is tough to deal with. It isn't strictly, Fred, as you noted at the outset, White Trout Road Association, but it's a community concern. I'm wondering if all the members could sort of give it a bit of thought, and then, Fred, we could maybe meet again or communicate with one another in, say, a couple of weeks' time to see if we can come up with a creative solution.
Stace, did we get a price? Was it around $1,400? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it was $1,400 from Locke to remove it.
Right. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with.
I was just thinking, you read in the media with all the young people, which clearly you can tell I am not, about these crowdsourcing things. I'm wondering if somebody wants to set up a Facebook page or something to take contributions from around the community and maybe come up with the funds to have it taken down.
Well,
on a voluntary basis.
We thought of doing that last year, going up and down the channel and around the corner a bit and get $100 from everyone, and then the problem would be resolved. And that's probably the best way to do it without involving the White Trout Road Association, because then you're setting a precedent for other things to happen.
Well, that's right. It's tough. I mean, we're all as a community sympathetic, but it certainly, definitely, it doesn't fall within the purview of White Trout Road Association.
Right.
In any formal way. So is that what you think you'll do then, Fred? Is just make a community gesture to try to get people to pitch in that are along White Trout Channel? And
yeah, I think that there's a few people listening here today that obviously use the channel and boat up and down, and it's just a matter of time before that tree comes down, and I just don't want to see anybody injured, especially when we know it's a hazard. And I think if everyone wants to contribute $100, we'll gladly take their money and we'll call Locke and we'll get that down as soon as possible.
Dad, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I think I like your idea of a GoFundMe page or setting up something like that. I don't know how to do that, but I know people in my family do know how to do that, and that might be something that we can put out, and it would be a voluntary contribution. And I don't even think it would be $100. And maybe we need to get a second quote as well to see about just following that tree. So, but we'll take that offline and figure that out. So.
Something recommend is that you extend your appeal a little bit. I know we quite often take guests up there because it's so pretty. So we're sort of secondary users. I mean, our cottage is on Minden Bay, but you know, we're up there at times. We'd certainly think about.
So John,
lending a hand.
you'd probably contribute $200 in it. So
Well, since you're doubling my pay, how can I say no, Fred?
yeah.
Okay. I think that perhaps yes, Ken.
I've noticed some people are starting to use the sand pit as a garbage dump. And there's big piles of brush and stuff there that, you know, it's a fire hazard is the bottom line is what I'm concerned about. I know the sand pit's associated with the road and I just don't like it, you know, seeing it piled up with piles of brush and wood and stuff like that, because I think it is a potential, and construction materials sometimes too, right? But minor construction stuff.
So how would you think about addressing that? Like putting up a sign or sending a flyer around to neighboring cottages or what?
I don't really know I know that sand pit is associated with use by the road, right? So
maybe thank you for raising that, Ken. It is an issue, and perhaps our road chair Ryan can give it some thought and come up with a proposal to improve.
Who owns the sand pit? Is that on Crown land?
Yes.
My understanding is that, and I've seen brush in there for years. I've been here 5 years now, and you'll see huge piles of brush in there. I'm pretty sure it's either hydro or contractors, or I don't know who'd be bringing in so much brush, but I don't know how you stop. I don't know how you stop something like that on Crown land.
That's not so bad, and then we keep running back to get.
I don't know.
Spray, and then.
So
Yeah.
I can maybe look into it. I don't know how we'll make out there.
Well, maybe the road association could rent the chip and chip the whole brush and then sell the mush to the cottage.
Good idea, Peter.
Oh, sorry, Peter. I muted you because there's some background noise. I apologize. Go ahead, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
No,
I was going to say the easiest thing to do is to drop a couple of big rocks across the entryway into the sand pit. You know, Bacher could do it easily and just block it off. And, you know, the people who love to zoom around in ATVs and side-by-sides for fun could still use it for that purpose. And it just wouldn't be a garbage pit and an eyesore and fire hazard anymore.
But,
yeah, but wasn't there brush dropped outside of the sand pit one time?
Yeah, they dropped a whole bunch beside the road in that.
Yeah, area. So you block the sand pit, and now they're dropping it wherever they want. I don't know how you deal with that.
Well,
right this second.
Always people who will throw garbage wherever. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Peter had a good suggestion. Just bring in a chipper for a day, and a group of us could go over and get rid of all the dead trees there, and people can take the chips if they so desire. That's your simplest way to deal with it.
There is also lots of firewood available for anybody that wants to use it outside on a barbecue or an outside fire.
Yeah.
I've picked up some logs there and split them and used them outside.
All right,
Okay,
well, I
good.
think that's a good discussion, and thank you, Ken, for raising it. I think there's several good ideas there, and Ryan can think about it a bit further and see what we can do as an association. I think that brings us to the end, and I'd recommend adjournment now. I would like to,
Move we adjourn, Mr. President.
Yeah, okay, we'll just, we'll have a vote on that in a second. I would like to ask all members of the Meeting Trail Cottagers Road Association to stay on the call and not leave following adjournment, please. So thank you all very much for your patience and your attendance this morning. It's very appreciated. And as I say, I hope everyone has a good summer. And we look forward to seeing all of you throughout the summer in our wonderful Kawagama Lake community. So thank you.
And thank you, John, for everything, and have a nice summer as well.
Great.
And stay safe.
Thanks very much. Amazingly, there's no one voting to continue the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you again, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
boys.
Yeah.
Girls. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.